our favorite crossover, our favorite Dodge crossover, our gateway to muscle, one of the only vehicles that my dear friend Tim Kniss has ever introduced the heck on Dodge, like brand new models from scratch. It has been postponed for the 2026 model year. And it's like, where have we heard this before? Because just like a few months ago, we've already heard that the Dodge Charger Daytona RT was being postponed for 2026 model year. And now our favorite gateway to muscle vehicle, as confirmed by Mopar insiders, has now been postponed as well for the 2026 model year. But what if I told you that the tariffs, I think, is not exactly the total story with this, right? What if I told you that, yeah, the sales for the Dodge Hornet was not exactly the greatest, but in 2025, those sales fell off of a cliff.
This is the all-new Dodge Hornet, and you know how much Dodge loves speed. And in this case, it's not just the vehicle, it's the segment as well. Compact utilities is the hottest segment in the industry. This is over 1 million units today, and it's going to grow another 48% in the next 5 years. This audience is looking for price, value, and fuel economy, and you won't see a single mention of fun to drive, power, or can you even imagine vehicle image? We saw an opportunity to add performance and personality to a segment defined by efficiency and practicality.
Okay, well, over 47,000 friends, and the 56% of you guys who keep watching these videos over and over again and don't want to subscribe, help a butter out and subscribe to the channel so I can get my first milestone of 50,000 subscribers. So all I want to know is, who's coming with me? Who's coming with me?
Who's coming, man? Who's coming with me? Who's coming with me, man?
Now that I got my computer all fixed and stuff, now I can do funny stuff like that. It doesn't take a long time to do it anyway. So yeah, let's get right into this situation with the actual Dodge Hornet, because the Dodge Hornet was that vehicle that was in day 2 of Speed Week, where Tim Kniss introduced like the day 1, the current muscle, the day 2 of the gateway to muscle, and then the day 3 was basically the future. And then that's where we had introduced to the Charger Daytona, which oddly enough, that means 2 out of 3 things that Tim Kniss has basically introduced are basically gone for 2026 model year, right? It's just quite funny how that works. But I'm thinking this is another cost of error special, and then this is right here just another example of how this guy should have never been in charge of Stellantis in the first place. But let's get into this article with Mopar insiders. So I'm not gonna get into this whole entire article, but here are some few nuggets in here that I want to kind of cover that's going to basically tell the story. Now, Dodge basically blames the whole situation with this Hornet only on tariffs. They don't want to blame it that no one really likes Alfa Romeo in here, and it was like a bad decision to bring an Alfa Romeo based vehicle to America, thinking it's going to be a decent seller, right? So Dodge is tapping the brakes on the 2026 model year production of its Hornet compact crossover to assess the effects of US tariff policies, which they told to Automotive News. And basically, they're trying to navigate the 25% import tax on vehicles built outside the United States, a tariff that directly affects the Italy-built Hornet. Let's see. While most crossovers in this space chase practicality like the Toyota RAV4 and the Honda CR-V, Dodge went after buyers who wanted something a little bit edgier, and this car was so edgy that no one really bought it. Now, this right here is the most important paragraph. Is, let's see, at first the gamble looked promising. In its first full year on sale, Dodge moved 20,599 or 559 Hornets in the US during 2024. But the momentum did not last. In the first half of 2025, Hornet sales dropped by 52%. The second quarter alone saw a steep 64% sales decline, with only 1,539 units delivered. And I think the other part of this article was basically telling you guys that, yeah, Stellantis is now rethinking its approach. The Hornet is not the only model affected. Dodge has also decided to drop the base RT trim of 2026 Charger Daytona. It's quite interesting that tariffs caused the entire trim of the Charger, not the Charger, but the Hornet to get dropped. The GT and the RT and all those other little trims it had. But for the Charger Daytona, only the RT gets dropped. They still can make the Scat Pack. So how is it tariffs? Like I would love an explanation of how tariffs can stop a trim of the Charger Daytona, but tariffs can also affect the Hornet where the entire car is gone, right? So I'm just saying. And then basically the Hornet started at $31,999, which is way too expensive. You can see just how bad the sales are, right? Like, I don't know how in the world somebody still got a Viper and they sold one last year or this year. Someone bought a brand new Grand Caravan or 3 Journeys. Like, it's just crazy how some of these dealers still have these old cars and are not trying to discount them down. Like, how much was the floor plan on these 2 vehicles? But I'll just leave that alone. But last year, the Hornet sold 11,000 vehicles pretty much in the first half of last year. Now it's down to 5,600, and that's a 52% drop. If you go look right here, the actual Hornet sold 4,200 units last year in Q2, only 1,500 units in Q2 of this year, a 64% drop. So they go quarter by quarter, it looks real bad in sales. And then you can see right here, the old Charger Daytona, they had the RT trim actually phased out because of the actual tariffs, allegedly tariffs. You can see just right there too, 4,200 sales the entire year, and then only 2,300 sales in just Q2. I think I saw up here, if you scroll up, that last year Dodge sold 26,000 Chargers. 26,000 Chargers last year. They went from 26,000 in the entire year. So basically you're thinking what 13,000 and a half of a year? It went from 13,000 down to 4,200. And the beautiful thing about this is this was leftovers. This was 2024 model year. They stopped making the regular Chargers and Challengers in 2023. It's wild. Like, look, and then that's not including Challenger sales. So they done sold like over 47,000 Challengers and Chargers in 2024. They went from 47,000 total sales of an old car to only 4,000 sales in a half of a year. So basically on that trend, they're only going to sell maybe 8,000 EV Chargers from selling over 40-something Challenger and Chargers in the year that these cars were discontinued. Like, this is wild. Like, Stellantis needs to rethink its entire priorities, and they need to rethink their priorities quick, fast, and in a hurry, because this Hornet has been a literal sales disaster, right? It's like no way you can spin it that this car just not was performing. Like, to me personally, it was never a Dodge car. And it's like, you know, I've driven one for 3 weeks, so you can't just say that I'm making stuff up and I haven't experienced one, I haven't driven one. I drove one for 3 weeks. Dodge gave me an opportunity to drive one for 3 weeks, and I will admit I actually enjoyed that car. It is a pretty decent car, but in no way, shape, or form would I ever buy a Hornet at $30,000 base price, right? I think the one that I tested was around like almost 40 grand because it was actual RT. So I had the fastest version of the Hornet, but it's too expensive. It's way too expensive. And it's like Stellantis is kind of get to this point to where, like, just like with the Charger Daytona, the price of these cars so high to push people into getting lease deals that they missed the point that, yeah, if the base price of the car is too expensive, no one's gonna buy it. And then not everybody can qualify for lease deals. So it's like, what is the point even offering this car? So like I said, I liked it, but to me personally, it should have been a Chrysler product, honestly, right? If you're gonna make it a little bit more expensive and all this great little, like, the interior is nice in it, I'm not gonna lie. The interior is actually pretty nice in there. It should have been a Chrysler product, just like the same thing with the Charger Daytona. That should have been a Chrysler product, right? If you're gonna make it a little bit pricey, but make it very luxurious on the inside, turn it into a Chrysler product, right? Dodge people want cheap performance cars. So we don't necessarily need the greatest interiors in a Dodge in order to actually want to buy it. Because Tim Knissen said in an actual podcast one time that if he had to take a survey of people out there in Dodge, what would you rather have more? Would you rather have a better interior, or would you rather have more horsepower? And he like, yeah, those guys want more horsepower. So it really doesn't really make sense to go around this whole new phase of jacking up the cost of the cars by jacking up the quality interior, when you really know it's like the same version of KISS, like keep it simple, stupid. It should be keep it higher horsepower, stupid. Like KISS, like KISS, like something like that. So to me, honestly, this should have been an actual Chrysler product. And I don't get the whole thing of bringing Alfa Romeo vehicles and rebadging them as Dodge vehicles. no one really likes Alfa Romeo in America, right? Now, I know some people have heard about that same fact too, but if there was any Alfa Romeo support, then there would be a lot of Alfa Romeo dealers. Like, I think the closest dealer to me that sells Alfa Romeo is like almost 2 hours from here. There's only like maybe 2 or 3 Alfa Romeo dealers in the state of North Carolina, period. So there's not really a lot of opportunities to go buy Alfa Romeo. And me personally, I don't like the look of Alfa Romeo, right? That whole like leafy triangle design in the grill, I think is very ugly. That is my personal opinion. But I don't get why not have it to where if you want to bring cars or crossovers to Dodge, that's fine. But design them in America with Americans, because we know what we like in America, and then export it to Europe, whatever, right? Or make another version of that same car in Europe to where you can get around import tariffs, all this other nonsense, right? Because I had AI basically make me an actual new Hornet. So I'm gonna show you guys right here. Now this right here is AI's basically version of a Hornet that's based off of the Charger. And then honestly, I think that's all they had to do was basically just make a Charger crossover and be done with it. And this right here is a very aggressive looking crossover, and maybe this would be an SRT variant of a crossover or whatever, but it's unmistakable that right there is a Dodge looking crossover, and that looks way better than the Hornet. Let me look at a picture of the Hornet. My AI looks a lot better than that car. That right there looks like a damn beaver. Like, that looks so weird. And me personally, AI made that a lot better. That looks like a cross between an actual Charger and a Durango, and there's no problem with that. And you can see the back half of the car. Yeah, obviously got, you know, inspiration from like, you know, like a Mazda or like a Toyota crossover. But that right there, to me, if they sold this right here, base price 25 grand, I think that would sell. Like I said, this right here could be an actual SRT variant that's like 32, 33 grand, where you have more horsepower in it. It could be a hybrid or whatever. But I think that looks a lot better than the Hornet do. And I think this right here would sell. I'm just hoping that with this Hornet getting discontinued or postponed or whatever technical lingo they want to basically claim about this actual thing, that they basically rethink this strategy. And if they can't drop the price, just get rid of it. I mean, and it's like, even if you get rid of the Hornet, it's not like you can't sell the Tonale. So I'm not going to lie and say I did not enjoy the Hornet when I had it, because like I said, I had it for 3 weeks and it was a good, decent vehicle. I only had like one issue with it with the hybrid system on there. But other than that, I never had a single other issue other than that one thing with the hybrid system where it wouldn't work for like a day or two, and then it started working on its own for some odd reason and stuff. So the Hornet, I think it just needs to be redesigned. Like, honestly, to me personally, I think they should just scrap that car, and whatever that crossover car that Christine Fuels is talking about that's going to be coming to Chrysler, whatever that car is, I hope it's being designed by Americans and stuff for the American market. Take that crossover car and bring up the Dodge. Like, I still understand why the freaking Airflow concept car was not actually made as an actual car. Like, I'm pretty sure that car would have did decent as the actual Hornet. I mean, it was designed well, it looked well and stuff. And I think if you were to rebadge that as an actual Dodge product, I think that would do pretty well. But the Hornet, it looks too Alfa Romeo-y, if that is even a word, Alfa Romeo-y. But I hope the Dodgers go through this, take a learning lesson, stop trying to basically make these European cars, rebadge it as Dodge cars. I mean, it wasn't even a good rebadge. They literally took a Tonale and just changed the front bumper on it and then basically passed it off as a Dodge car, right? I'm just gonna leave that at this, and be like, hey, you know, I'm sad that my beloved Hornet is gone, but hey, hopefully when it comes back, they drop the price. If you don't drop the price, it doesn't matter. Tariffs or non-tariffs, no one's gonna buy the car anyway. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think Dodge should basically drop the price of the Hornet, or get rid of the Hornet, or like that little crossover I showed you guys right there? Maybe that's a better option to make something that looks more like the other cars and not like a crazy beaver and stuff. But if you guys basically want to talk about, hey, some of the things you want to see going forward, especially from SRT, you can check out this video I made right here. And until the next time, don't get stung by your Hornet. I'm out.